So the stock markets are collapsing. Well, here's 5 strategies to help you navigate these and actually improve your finances. Okay, so here's 5 things that you should be thinking about. Now that the markets are kind of on a little bit of a decline, this is how you should approach it to kind of improve your finances and make the best of what you can. So the first thing that you want to do, first strategy, is not to panic.
Everybody panic! Oh my God!
Okay, panic is the worst thing you can do. There's never a situation in anything in life where panicking is good. If your thought right now is when you see the market down that you should sell your stocks, you're panicking. Now you may not be screaming, you may not be running around with your hair on fire, but that's panicking. Brings me to the second point. Second point is stick to your plan. What's your plan? If you say, I don't have a plan, well, what you want to do is get a plan. Figure out what you should be doing. That's the stuff you do before things fall apart. You don't want to try to figure out how to navigate out of your house during a fire. You want to know how to do it before the fire happens. So if you're working with an advisor or your approach is buy and hold, well, guess what? Then just buy and hold. Ride it out. If that's what your approach was, that's what you should stick with. If you got to the point where you just can't handle the volatility, you just can't handle this downside, well, you probably had a bad plan to begin with. I'm not against making changes if you're going to change your long-term plan. What I found is there's a lot of people out there who had these portfolios that either they became too heavy in equities because stocks did really well and their percentage of portfolio got bigger and bigger to stocks, or secondly, they just figured stock market's doing well and they plugged everything in there. Now they're really suffering. If that's you, then you need a plan. What people forget about when markets are doing well is there's not just the return aspect of the markets, there's the risk aspect. You always have to start with the risk because there's going to be periods like this. It's going to happen. We're now in our 3rd market downturn in the past 20 years. So this does happen. Every 7 or 8 years you're going to have this. So you need to prepare for that. You need to figure out what can I handle on the downside and still sleep soundly at night. And that drives your plan. That drives how much you put into stocks, how much you put into bonds. That's what you should be doing. If you don't have that plan right now, then it is a good idea to get a plan together. Find a good financial planner or dig into some books yourself and figure this thing out. Again, don't panic. Don't sell everything. Figure out what your plan is. Again, if you have a plan, if you have an advisor, and they've been saying all along, we buy and hold, well, that's the plan you chose. Stick with it. Don't deviate. You don't want to switch your plan right away. The third thing that you should be thinking about right now is tax loss harvesting. What does that mean? Well, you might have some losses in your portfolio right now, things that have gone down in value. Well, if you sell those, you can now use that on your tax return to reduce your income. And even if you're not going to do it for that reason, it's a great idea to sell positions that have losses, and then you can reinvest in something that's very similar. And if it goes up, you've now got a lower cost. You've got a lower cost basis, and you could sell that position, and you've got some losses to offset it. So it's a great time to take some losses to help your tax return. Another thing that you should be doing right now, and I think it's always good to do this, but you really want to do it when money gets a little scarce. Look at your budget. When's the last time you really looked at your budget? What kind of subscriptions are you paying that you really don't use? What kind of data plans do you have where you're not using much of the data? Spend some time, go through your budget, figure out exactly what you could cut, and that's going to save you some money. So maybe you're losing some money on your investments, but if you can find some savings in your daily budget, it might help offset some of the pain. So the 5th and final thing you should be thinking about right now is doing a Roth IRA conversion. This is a great time to do it. If you have a traditional IRA and you've seen the value come down, now you can convert it and pay less in taxes on the conversion. This is especially true if you're recently retired and you haven't had to start taking your required minimum distributions. It's a great time to do a Roth conversion. The market's down 20, 25, 30%. If that's about what your IRA's down, you get to move it over to a Roth, pay less in taxes, and then when eventually when the market recovers, you'll have more of tax-free income and growth. So it's a great time to do some Roth conversions. So basically, those are 5 quick things that you can do that are going to improve your situation. Again, make sure you don't panic. That's probably the biggest thing that you don't want to do right now. Make sure you're sticking with your plan. If you don't have a plan, get one in place. Make sure it matches your true risk capacity. Third thing you're going to want to make sure you're doing, look at your budget, find some extra things that you're spending money on. You can cut that out, save yourself some cash. Roth conversions, and then tax loss harvesting. So hopefully you found this useful. Again, we have lots of videos for you, lots of information. If you want something covered that you haven't seen elsewhere, out on YouTube or the internet, just let me know. And again, hopefully you find yourself right now one step closer to saving yourself from Wall Street.